Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Prediction Show on the Gurley Truth Sports Network. As always, the Gurley Truth is powered by Betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or sports book that is right for you. Make sure you check them out at Betting.net. I am your host for the NFL Prediction Show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome my two co-hosts. First up, he's a man that finished tied for last on last week's show, Dan Kornhauser. How you doing, Dan?
Doing good, Mike. We're headed into week 10, and I hold still a lovely little lead on you two guys. I am at 72. Mike, you're at 65. Steve, you're at 63.
But this week I was at 9, you were at 7, and you know the inevitable ass kicking is coming for Dan and Steve Risley, though, this year won't have to suffer that humiliation as he's in last place. And I would like to bring up Joe Spillman, who was our special guest picker last week, tied me at first at 9-4. So we're definitely going to have Joe back soon. All right, Steve Risley, 1981 national champion, 1979 NIT champion. How you doing, Steve? You finally got rid of Frank Reich, and you got a high school coach that had an average record. So you got to be feeling good about this.
I'm feeling really good about our chances now. I think we're going to get the number one draft pick. It's a lock now.
Yeah, you're getting a number one draft pick. Ain't no doubt about that. Yeah. But let's go ahead and let's look at the week coming up. Thursday Night Football is another stellar encounter between the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are 3-point underdogs in this game. They beat the Panthers, 2 weeks ago in the final seconds. What do you think, Dan?
Atlanta -3. I'm going to take Atlanta at -3. Carolina is a team in shambles. They've been playing better, I guess, for their new head coach, but it still leaves a lot to be decided. Carolina sucks. I'm going to go with Atlanta.
All right, I'm going with Atlanta also. Atlanta's tied for first right now. They run the ball extremely well, which it's not going to take much right now to win this division, I don't think. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Falcons at the -3, Steve.
I'm with you guys. I'm taking Atlanta.
Okay, we will ignore the comments right now, too, that are on YouTube.
Yeah, what the hell is this? Can you block this person?
I think it's for, it's for Dan.
Is it a guy? It might be a guy.
Well, yeah, it's definitely. All right, we've just added him to the
I'm not going to mention the name of the person that's trying to call us.
All the dirty messages are now gone. Steve, Atlanta versus Carolina. Who you got?
I'm going to take Atlanta. I think Carolina is just totally a mess. I don't understand how a franchise can be that much of a mess all the time. I just don't get it. I mean, if you're going to own a team that's worth billions of dollars, gee, Christmas, put the money into it and get the players you need to win ball games. But they refuse to do that. I don't know. Yeah, I'm taking Atlanta.
All right, next up, we got the surprising Seattle Seahawks led by the surprising Geno Smith, traveling to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are favored by 2.5 points, Steve.
So it's Tampa Bay -2.5.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Brady's coming back into his old self. I like the way he played last week. I thought he rallied his team well at the end of the game. It was, he's got to get back into it. But I'm back to believing I'm not going to bet against Brady right now, not against Tampa Bay, who I think has not played anybody really tough to win football games yet. They've won them, and they're doing good. They're leading the NFC West, but I think that's turned out to be a crappy division, and I'm not, they're cream of the crap. I think Tampa Bay is still a team that's playoff bound. I think you're going to see them win a lot of games, so I'm going to give up the 2.5 and take Tampa Bay.
All right, Dan?
I've been kind of on the border on this, but I'm going to go with Tampa Bay as well. At this point, it's hard to doubt what Seattle is doing. because we're in week 10 and they keep winning. They're 6-3 right now. So you can't really look at Seattle and say, oh, this team sucks or whatever. Geno Smith is playing great. Hell of a coaching job by Pete Carroll. They're running the football, if not better than anyone else, they're up there. But as Steve said, it's just something about Tom. They got a nice win against the Rams. It feels like a good bet to go with. And it's close enough. 2.5 isn't terrible.
All right. I think you're both done. So I'm going to take Seattle. They're the better team. They have the better quarterback. They have the better running game. They have the better offensive line.
Wait a minute. What did you just say?
I said they have the better quarterback right now.
What?
That's what I said.
Oh, you're you're a dumbass.
I'm a dumbass because I stated a fact.
After 7 years of being with Mike on the air or something, I got to call him a legitimate dumbass.
And you're legitimately wrong, because how can you make a case that Tom Brady is better?
Oh, God, Mike. Give up the 15 minutes of fame. I understand you played a game in Texas Stadium, and that's your 15 minutes of fame.
No, just tell me this, dumbass. My 15 minutes of fame has 6 rings with it, so I don't have 15 minutes of fame. You could drop that shit on Bobby Sheridan, who was a failed Major League Baseball player. He got hurt. I don't really
Bobby
give a shit.
alone.
But don't give me that, because I'm looking here.
Leave Bobby alone.
Geno Smith for this season, 10 touchdowns.
There's no way. There's no way. It's
the same bullshit he said. You didn't even have 15 minutes of fame. You played for 13 minutes in national.
Geno Smith is not even in the same county.
I ain't talking about career, dumbass. I'm talking about right now who's playing better. You really think that Tom Brady is playing better?
Okay.
Do you? Answer the question. I'm the dumbass. You answer the question.
Who's your quarterback in Cincinnati? I can't think of his name right now.
Joe Burrow.
Is he better than Geno Smith?
Right now, yes. I think he has played better than Geno.
You are another dumbass.
Okay, so he hasn't played. Wait a second. So Tom Brady's had a better season.
The Bengals are what, 3-5?
The Bengals are 5-4, Steve.
Oh, are they? Okay.
What's Tampa Bay's record, Steve? Do you even know that, since you study so hard for this show?
I think
it's obvious by your last place finishes. Yeah. So the other team is 6-3.
Oh, yes, I do study hard.
Geno Smith, if you studied hard, you'd shut up here and not call anybody a dumbass. We're talking about right now. And right now, Geno Smith, 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a 107.2 passer rating. His team is better. I mean, I'm sorry. And Tom Brady, of course, is a much greater quarterback than anybody that ever lived. But
so let me ask you a question, Mike. Let me just ask you a question, then I'll shut
passer
up.
rating of 90
let me ask you a question.
20 points lower.
If you were in the Super Bowl and you were on the 20-yard line and had less than 2 minutes to go.
Wait a second. Joseph Michael, you did not beat us all. No,
let me ask my
Joe,
question.
you tied with me. Shut up, you dumbass, Joe. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. If you're on the 20-yard line, less than 2 minutes to go in the Super Bowl, do you want Geno, quarterback of your team today, or do you want Tom Brady?
Well,
who do you want?
This. Why don't you ask me?
Give me a name. Don't give me a political answer.
It's not a political answer, because you're an idiot.
Answer the question.
I don't think there's any way Tom Brady is getting his team to the 20-yard line with a chance to win the Super Bowl. I mean, what you saw. Wait a second. You tell me how great Tom Brady played this last weekend. I mean,
he didn't play great. He did like what Tom Brady does. He finds ways to.
God, will you stop with that shit, Steve? He found a way to win because the Los Angeles Rams are completely inept and pathetic on offense. What was the final
about
score?
every team Seattle's plays inept and
really? Because you know what? Defense. That's a sign that you
because
don't
they played the Rams
anything.
Too. They played everybody in the NFC West. They're inept.
Well, so what about this?
Right now,
wait a second, Steve.
The
Shut
Seahawks
the fuck up
are the cream of the crap.
Listen. All right. So the Seahawks beat the Chargers in Vegas by 14 points. They followed that up by beating the Giants by 14 points. They went to the Cardinals, who are not a great team, but it's a road win by 10 points. I mean, the fact of the matter is this. Right now, Seattle is playing as well as anybody in the NFC outside
and the Giants and the Chargers are crap teams.
And I hate to tell you this, but I've never said this, but I believe Tom Brady is pretty much done.
Well, I believe he's done too. But
okay, so I'm the dumbass, and you just said he's better than a guy who is playing better than him by 20 percentage points in quarterback rating and has won twice as many games. So let me ask you this:
Brady can be done from being Tom Brady but it does not mean that Tom Brady is still not a great quarterback and will find a way to beat you.
If you want to throw a 5-yard pass, he won't. If he would find a way to beat you, Steve, he wouldn't have a losing record. He found a way to beat the freaking Rams. You want to talk? I mean, Tampa Bay lost to the Packers when I think they were held to 1 touchdown.
All right.
Tampa Bay has significant issues. The team is bad.
This argument's going nowhere. Move on.
No,
Move
because
on.
you're a dumbass.
Move on.
It's been settled. All right. Seattle blows out Tampa Bay. I don't see anything from Tampa Bay.
That's a dumbass comment.
Damn thing. I know, because Tampa Bay's been so good this year, Steve. I mean, you just want to say dumbass because you feel all high and mighty now because they said Geno Smith is playing better than Tom Brady, but he is. Geno Smith's playing better than probably 85% of the quarterbacks in the NFL.
If you have to say I'm high and mighty, then you're believing it. So
no, that's what you're saying. Because high and mighty is this. High and mighty is when you talk to somebody and say, oh, you got your 15 minutes of fame because they think they achieved something in life. Unfortunately, it was 50 years ago and nobody gives a shit anymore. Minnesota at Buffalo. Buffalo's favored by 7.5. Dan will never do anything in his pathetic life. Dan, what do you think? Minnesota, Buffalo. Buffalo minus 7.5.
Now the big question is Josh Allen?
Mike, please.
Is Josh Allen going to be playing in this game? He's dealing with a UCL injury. I think that's an elbow injury or whatever. So it's a nerve thing apparently as well. So he's day to day. McDermott said that he's probably not going to be practicing, which makes sense. I don't think Josh Allen really needs to worry about weekday reps on, Wednesday, Thursday. But his status is very much up in the air. Minnesota, I mean, similar to Seattle, I've been not on the Minnesota train all season, but they've got 1 loss. And at some point, you have to look at a team and say,
who's on the Minnesota train at the start of the year, Dan? I believe I picked them to win the division.
I'll have to revisit that, but you've been giving them more props than I have throughout the season. So I need to stop hating, and I gotta give them their due. I'm gonna pick Minnesota, and it's mostly because I hate this line and Josh Allen's question.
All right, Steve, you dumbass. What are you gonna pick here? Wonder if anybody thinks we're serious right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do because I'm pretty fucking serious. I'm sorry, excuse my French. I'm pretty freaking serious right now. I'm getting tired of you.
All right, get serious and pick the game. You called me a dumbass first. You fired the first shot.
You are a dumbass.
You're both fucking dumbasses. Let's go.
Hey,
why don't you sit
Dan,
NFL
Dan, be very careful, Dan. We know where you live.
Yeah, and Joe beat you last week. We can very easily add Joe.
Joseph Michael, you suck.
Joe won the Super Bowl 2 weeks ago. So
I agree with Dan. The questionability of what's his name? Who's your quarterback?
Josh Allen is the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, dumbass.
I don't remember names. Okay, it's just part of my problem.
It's really hard to forget like a top 3 quarterback in the NFL.
I don't know. I think Matt Ryan's the best quarterback in the NFL.
Superstar.
Yeah, okay.
So 7.5 points is an awful lot to give away to Minnesota. I think Buffalo can win this game, but I don't think 7.5 points is a strong bet. So in order to save corporate headquarters in Malta.
Oh, you just picked a damn game.
I'm going to go with Minnesota on this one and take the 7.5 points. I think that Kirk Cousins is probably playing some very good quarterback in the NFL right now, finally. He's got a good team around him. They did a great interview with him the other day on TV I watched. He's a very likable guy. His chain gang thing going on right now is rallying that team. I like Minnesota. I like Minnesota right now in the Super Bowl right now. I mean, it's a long way off. I get that. But right now, I like Minnesota is probably the best team playing in the NFC.
So it doesn't bother you that Philadelphia beat them by like 10 points earlier in the season or are undefeated?
I still think that Philadelphia is a sketchy football team. They're just a sketchy football team because I don't think they're as strong a quarterback as Minnesota is. So,
All right.
I'm taking Minnesota and giving up 7.5.
I will say this: Josh Allen's tough as hell. I assume he's going to play, Dan.
Okay.
When I assume that, the issue then is this, and this is why I don't think Minnesota's a Super Bowl team. They rank 27th in the league in pass defense. And in this game, this is Stephon Diggs' first game against his former team. He will put on a show. I think Buffalo bounces back in style, wins the game by 10. I'm going to take the Bills and give the points. I do hate the line also, but I'm going to go with the Bills.
And it's Buffalo minus 7.5, right?
Yeah, that's what we have.
Yes, that's what it is,
Yes.
isn't it? All right, Joseph Michael says, hey, Dan, that wasn't nice, and I would have beat everyone if I wasn't kissed at the Bengals last week.
I think he meant pissed.
Well, you know what? If you're going to be dumb enough to bet the Panthers to cover 8 points against the Bengals, you're nothing but a dumbass, Joe. And you lost.
Joe.
Get over it. All right. Next up, we've got the Detroit.
Hey, Joe, I had fun doing the IU show with you. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, I thought you left me out of the IU show at first. Hey, by the way, if you're an Indiana basketball fan, the IU Weekly Show will kick off Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. So make sure you check out me and Mr. Risley on that day. Now, we've got the Detroit Lions at the Chicago Bears, and I see that our man Dan has his Billy Sims jersey on, or a Barry Sanders jersey. He's young, so probably Barry Sanders. What do you think? Can the Lions keep rolling?
You know, I want to pick Detroit. I do. I really do. Because I think they're a better football team than Chicago is. But the way that Fields has been playing the last few weeks is inspiring. And the Bears aren't a good team. Neither are the Lions. But in a close game, I think the team with the better quarterback who can make things happen, the better running attack, is going to win. And I'm going to go with Chicago Bears on this one. -3, but I have no faith in Detroit, even after this past week.
Huh. All right, Steve.
Yeah, I'm going to Chicago. I think Chicago's an up-and-coming, slow team. They got the last good coach that ever coached for the Colts.
Who's this?
Head coach.
I mean, so now their coach is good and they're an up-and-coming team.
They're an up-and-coming, slowly up-and-coming.
They're not up-and-coming.
By the next 20 years, I think they'll be in playoff contention.
Oh, also, 3 big injury questions for the Lions. DeAndre Swift is questionable. Malcolm Rodriguez, rookie linebacker, is questionable with an elbow injury. And starting center, all-pro center, Frank Ragnow, is questionable with a foot injury. Now, these guys, I'm pretty sure all 3 played this past week, but still something to monitor as the week goes on.
I will tell you this. Justin Fields has thrown for over 200 yards once this season. Last week in that great game he had, he threw for 123 yards. He did have 3 touchdown passes. Mm-hmm. I think he is playing better. They have no weapons, but the issue here is this, as you said, with the injuries. Plus, the Lions are about as bad as there is in stopping the run in the NFL right now. I'm going to take the Bears, too. I don't want to. I want to take the Lions, but I'm going Bears.
I don't want to, but
I know.
I don't want to either. I like the Bears or the Lions. I like their coach. I like the Lions, but they're inept. They're just inept.
All right, next up, we've got the Jaguars at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are -9.5. I mean, this is a lot of points for a Jaguars team that I think is an improved team, and nobody's really blown them out this year. I think that this game will actually be close until about the fourth quarter. I think Kansas City pulls away, wins by 14. So I'm going to take the 9.5 points in the Chiefs, Dan.
Yeah, I'm going to take Kansas City as well. I like Jacksonville. I like Trevor Lawrence. I like Travis Etienne. Etienne is balling out now that he's healthy and he's got the rock. It's 5 straight games with at least 100 scrimmage yards or more. Scored a couple touchdowns last week, over 100 on the ground. The defense is hit or miss, but they played really well against the Raiders, and I like them, but Kansas City is maybe the best team in the AFC, arguably. And
there ain't no best team in the AFC. I mean, nobody knows.
Kansas City is
and it's not really arguably because Buffalo did go to Kansas City and beat them not too long ago.
But if Josh Allen's going to have elbow questions and he's not 100%.
So what you're telling me is if Buffalo's injured, if Josh Allen's hurt, then Kansas City might be the best team in the AFC.
Yeah, if Allen's healthy.
But see, I think the thing you're missing is this. Kansas City's defense is not what people think it is.
Well, they got pounded into the ground this past week and barely beat Tennessee. So that is a big question mark. But I think Malik got too much in this game.
So. All right, Steve.
Yeah, I'm going to the Chiefs. Kansas City's a pretty good football. Tennessee's a pretty good football team.
It's Jacksonville.
I know, but the way they beat Tennessee. Tennessee's not a bad football team.
They are with Malik Willis at quarterback. They're basically a run game.
Yeah, well, and they've got the best running back in the game right now.
Who does?
Tennessee.
Titans,
I thought it was Jonathan Taylor.
No. Dan, why is he – well, we'll get to the Colts later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to know why he's not even playing.
They
just benching him so they can get to the number one draft pick easier. Anyway, that's a different story.
Right.
The Jags are going to be a good football team as Trevor Lawrence develops into a good quarterback. They got to build around him. But right now, I think the Chiefs are playing right now. And Mike, don't call me a dumbass because they're not the best team in the AFC. They're playing some of the best football in the AFC right now. So
I don't see many in the AFC playing good football right now. I don't see many teams in the NFL playing good football.
No, many aren't, but the Chiefs are playing the best. So you're right, many aren't.
Come on, this league's so bad I'm now defending Geno Smith.
Yeah. Jesus.
And I'm telling you, the Chiefs are playing the best football in the AFC right now. That can change in the next 2 weeks. But right now, they're playing the best football. And they're
make a case for the Jets. They beat Buffalo.
That's right. They did.
Well, make a case for the Colts. They beat the Chiefs.
Nobody's going to make a case for the Colts. Coach.
I'm going to
make a case. Hey, just
give
don't
up
forget
the 7.
The Bengals.
What is it, 9.5? I'm giving up to 9.5 points. And taking the Chiefs.
I actually don't like giving up to 9.5 because I think that spread.
I don't either. I think it's too big a spread.
Because I can see Jacksonville actually gouging them running the ball and Lawrence making a few plays. But I think the better chance is that Lawrence will make a few bad plays than it is it'll make good plays.
I'm going to tell you, Mahomes to Kelsey right now is the best combination of any passer receiver in football right now.
No, it's not. Kirk Cousins to Justin Jefferson.
I don't agree.
Then you're wrong. All right, next up we got Cleveland.
Here's why I say that, Mike, because Mahomes and what a dumbass. Mahomes and Kelsey.
I'm a dumbass because you can't remember what you're going to say?
No, here's what they do. They move chains.
Do they?
They move chains.
That's awesome.
And they get the chains moved so far that they run out of room to move chains, and that usually ends up in the end zone. So they don't go out there and throw deep balls.
You know what your explanation sounded like to me? It's kind of like when people ask Kamala Harris a question.
Moving the chains. You're a quarterback coach, and you don't know.
When we move the chains, guys.
That's a quarterback's number one job.
When we move the chains, guys.
Move the chains.
Put it in the end zone.
Oh, God.
You don't win by getting first downs. You win by scoring touchdowns.
By putting it in there.
Yes. I put a quarter in one of those big toy things one time. Came out, and it was an arena football ring.
Yeah.
It was
I see what he did.
You know what's good is
plastic. I got one. I've got an arena football championship ring. It's plastic.
No, you don't.
You bend it on the bottom.
You don't.
You bend it on the bottom.
You bend it on the bottom.
Like your class ring?
No, like my national championship ring. Yeah.
Oh my God! Look at that. That it looks exactly like my class ring from South Dearborn High School in 1987.
Yeah. Well, if you were 63, that's right. If you were 63, it might. Take your
not
ass to the Hall of
63.
Fame, the Canton Pro Football Hall of Fame one time, and look at the early championship rings. Your
The hell's
class
that got
ring
to
would be
do with
better
anything?
than probably 10 of them.
Yeah.
I've been there, Mike.
You've been where? To the Hall of Fame?
Uh-huh.
Good for you, Steve. That's awesome. You went to Canton, Ohio. That must have been exciting for you to get out of the state of Indiana and go to beautiful downtown Canton to look at some people's rings.
No, we were on our way to the Smithsonian Institution to see the Space Museum.
Well, that sounds even more boring. All right, next up, the Cleveland Browns at
Mike,
the
have you
Miami
ever been?
Dolphins.
Mike, have you ever been to Wright Pat? You ever been to Wright Pat?
Yes.
You've been to the hangar?
Went to see an air show when I was like 8, but I thought it was
No,
stupid.
you didn't go to the hangar.
They go to the
I
hangar.
didn't care.
Huh?
I didn't care, Steve.
I've been on 6 Air Force Ones.
Really, Steve? That's awesome. Yeah. So's Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and they're dumbasses too. Oh, look, I won that fight. Next up, the Cleveland Browns at the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are favored by 4 points. This is a rematch in the 1972 AFC divisional playoff that the Dolphins won. Oh. Steve, who do you like here, Cleveland or Miami?
Is this me?
That's you.
Yeah, you're Steve. You're Steve, dumbass.
Who am I?
You're Steve.
Well, I was hoping to have beef brisket for dinner on Sunday. But since Jacoby's playing, I may not get brisket. I'm going with the Dolphins -4. I think the Browns are a mess.
I don't think the Browns are a mess. They just played their best game and then had a week off. I think what's a mess is Cleveland's pass defense. I think that's the difference in this game. It would not surprise me if Cleveland won because I think Miami is highly overrated. I don't think they're very good defensively. We just watched them give up 32 points while only allowing 120 yards of passing to Justin Fields. But for this game, I'm going to take the Dolphins to give the points, Dan.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Miami as well. And, Mike, you definitely hit the nail on the head when talking about Miami's defense. They got to be better. I mean, the offense is explosive, and it's because of their 2 wide receivers. And not to talk too much about the guy, but say what you will about Tua. He's not lighting the world on fire, but he's playing well, and he's getting the ball to his receivers. The question all offseason was, is Tua going to be able to get the ball to these speedy guys downfield? And Tua is one of the best deep ball quarterbacks statistically in the league, and he has a great completion percentage, and these guys are making plays, and Tyreek Hill is going hammer time.
Hey, Dan, you know what Tua is doing?
What's Tua doing?
He's moving the chains, Dan.
Moving the chains.
No, he scored 35
points. Moving the chains, baby.
He's moving the chains, baby.
That's all a quarterback's got to do.
That's all a quarterback's got to do. You don't even have to score a touchdown. You just move the chains and kick the field
Mike,
goal.
do you know who Darren Slack is?
Yes, do you?
Yeah.
Darren Sproles?
I spent 5 years under him.
That is awesome. Maybe you should have just stayed with your wife and not dabbled in that for 5 years. Get it? You said you were under him for 5 years.
No, I said my son was under him for 5 years.
Oh, God, that's even worse.
Oh, God. Moving on.
We're going to move on. Did everybody pick Cleveland and Miami?
Yeah, we all picked Miami.
We all picked Miami.
That's right, 3 in a row now. We all picked the same.
Even though you ripped Miami a new asshole, you still picked them. You dumbass.
Because you're a dumbass and obviously didn't listen to the reason that Cleveland's pass defense is not very good. But I'll also tell you this. I think Cleveland could easily win that game. I'm going to go with the weapons, but I could see Myles Garrett and that Cleveland defensive line harassing the hell out of Tua. And the biggest question about Tua is, can he stay healthy all year? Mm-hmm. I will make a prediction sometime in the next 4 weeks he'll miss a game. Next up.
Wait. Are we picking Miami games for the rest of the year?
Huh?
You said the question is whether Tua can stay healthy for the rest of the year. I don't give a damn. I'm just caring right now where he's healthy to play Cleveland.
Are you all right, Steve? Did your teleprompter hitch? Okay.
I would say, are you having a stroke on the air? What's happening?
Quit picking on Dan or Steve, you dumbass. Next up, we got the Houston Texans at the New York Giants. The New York Giants are favored by 6.5. I do not like this line because the Giants don't beat anybody with 6.5, I don't think. Dan, we'll let you go first.
Giants minus 6.5. I'm going to take Houston, and I don't think it's because they're going to win, but like you just said, I don't like this 6.5. This isn't a Giants team that, like you just said, blows teams out. They win. They're winning these close games, and it's mostly because Dan Jones is not turning the ball over, which is, I mean, pretty much all he needed to do to make himself useful. But outside of this, outside of the Jaguars game where the Giants ended up winning 23-17, every other game that they've won for the most part is 6 points or less. So I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I don't trust the Giants. I don't trust the Giants right now either.
I'll tell you this, though. The one thing I do know about the Texans, their defense has been significantly worse on the road than it is at home. I think Brian DeBall, Giants didn't play last week, correct?
Yeah, they're coming off their bye.
Okay. Giants have Brian DeBall. They're playing at home. They had a week to prepare. The other team's coached by Levy Smith, and they're not that good. I'm going to take the Giants to actually win this by a touchdown or more. Steve?
How with you, Mike? I'll take the Giants and the points. Give up the points.
All right. Next up, the New Orleans Saints at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Saints are favored by 2.5, Steve.
I'm writing it down. Hang on. I like the way Andy Dalton's playing quarterback for that team.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
So the untimely
but I like Andy
interceptions
Dalton.
that lose games
I'm
are good.
I'm probably blind.
I love Andy Dalton, but
I love Andy Dalton, and I want
mistakes.
Andy Dalton to do so good. So he's not playing bad football. I just don't know if he's got enough around him, coaching wise, to help him anymore. Steelers are a mess. They've got great coaching, but that's about all they've got. And they haven't shown me anything this year. I'm going to take the Saints and give up the 2.5 in this game. I think Andy Dalton is going to move the chains well and have a big game for these guys.
Hey, Andy Dalton moves the chains great. The other problem is he throws interceptions. But since
Yeah,
he
he
moves
does.
chains, you got to admit he's awesome. All right. My question is this. Is TJ Watt going to return for this game, Dan?
Well, I was actually just looking at the injury report. No, there's no information about TJ Watt at all, anywhere. I am now on the Pittsburgh website. There's no information on there. There's nothing on. Yeah. So, I mean, as far as I know, as far as I'm concerned, he's still not coming back. I don't see him any sort of news or update.
Pick the game, Dan.
At all.
Waiting.
Sorry. What's the line? 2.5? I'm going to go New Orleans, and I'm going to regret this, but the main difference for me is Kenny Pickett. This kid is way in over his head. Team sucks. I don't know.
So you're picking the Saints?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't hear what you said. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said I'm taking the Saints mostly because Kenny Pickett sucks. That whole Steelers.
I'm going to take. To me, this is a lock. Pittsburgh wins this game. T.J. Watt, I think, will play. I think the Steelers are coming off a bye week. I think Mike Tomlin is a significantly better coach than Dennis Allen is. The Saints also, short week. They also have the worst turnover differential in the NFL. So Kenny Pickett, I mean, come on. Andy Dalton's an interception machine at the worst possible time most of the time. I think Najee Harris will have a big game. TJ Watt will probably just grab the ball from Andy Dalton and score a touchdown. I like the Steelers. I'll take the 2.5 points here.
What about Kenny Pickett, turnover machine?
Yeah, they're both turnover machines. But TJ Watt is going to play. If TJ Watt plays, Pittsburgh wins. He will make the difference. He will take the ball away from Andy Dalton. Trust me, I've seen him do it before.
All right. Pittsburgh it is.
Next up, the Denver Broncos at the Tennessee Titans. This is a boring week with no Bengals game. Why do people even care about the NFL when the Bengals don't play? Broncos and Titans. Titans -3. I'll pick this one first, I guess. It looks like Tannehill's coming back. I'm going to go with Tennessee. I think Tennessee is a team that is sadly underrated. And I think Russell Wilson is actually about to break out and play really well. I don't think it happens here. If it does, they'll still come up short. I like Derrick Henry running the ball here. I'm going to take the Titans. If Ryan Tannehill's playing, the Titans are a Super Bowl contender, Dan.
Nah, I'm not going to agree with that last statement.
I know. I mean, they were just the number 1 seed last year, Dan, and Derrick Henry missed half the season. So, yeah, you're right. They're shit. Go ahead.
Fluke season.
Wait a second. Weren't they in the AFC Championship game like 2 or 3 years ago, too?
I don't remember it that way. Total fluke, all of it.
Okay. Well, I mean, every year tends to not be a fluke.
I mean, let's be honest. When it comes down to it, when you're getting to that point, you need a quarterback. They don't got a quarterback. And if you're not going to have a quarterback, you need to have an elite ground game, which they do, an elite coach, which they do, but you also need a good defense. And Tennessee, I don't trust their defense at all. Not at all. Not against the elite of the elite.
I would say this. I mean, Mike Vrabel, you just said he's a great coach.
Love Vrabel.
His defense will be fine. I haven't watched their defense get gouged. What are they, 5-3 now or something?
The Titans
6-3.
They're first in the division at 5-3.
Yeah, so they're 5-3. Ryan Tannehill, if you don't think he is a good enough quarterback in today's NFL, I don't know what to tell you, because right now I only see about 5 guys that are really elite guys. So if you got to have to have an elite quarterback, there's only about 5 or 6 teams capable of winning the Super Bowl anyways.
I mean, one of my good friends is a diehard Titans fan, and just
we've heard this story before.
Just from his analysis every week, I have absolutely no confidence just by
Why?
hearing him
Because this is the
talk
problem
about this guy.
Does your guy want Malik Willis to be the quarterback?
He did at the beginning of the season because he wanted to tank, because he didn't think this team was good enough, because he doesn't think Tannehill's good enough.
Dude, they're good enough because they got Derrick Henry, they got Mike Vrabel, and Tannehill is a top half of the league quarterback.
I also don't think they've completed a pass to a wide receiver in a couple of weeks.
They don't have any, do they? And remember this, Willis played the last 2 weeks, which is why
that is true. That is true. And they did all the Chiefs.
Dude, if they don't trade AJ Brown, they're definitely a Super Bowl contender. That was a dumbass trade.
Oh yeah, they effed up. They effed that up royally. But I'm going to take Tennessee in this one. All that being said, as long as Tannehill plays. If Tannehill doesn't play, then I would flip it and take Denver. But assuming Tannehill plays, I'll take Tennessee.
I think even if he plays, they'll do enough running the ball. And I think the defense is better than what you think. I mean, they did hold Patrick Mahomes to 20 points?
But they couldn't stop.
I know, it don't matter. It doesn't matter. It could stop would have mattered, because it doesn't matter early in the game. You could give up 75 points in the first half as long as you play good in the fourth quarter.
No, well, when you're going up against a legend, things will happen like that.
I don't think Patrick Mahomes qualifies as a legend with 1 Super Bowl win. I think he will someday qualify as a legend, but that would be like me calling Joe Burrow a legend. You got to win a few before you're a legend. That's why our boy in Green Bay is not a legend. Steve, did you pick Denver, Tennessee?
No, I did not.
Go ahead.
I'll take Tennessee and give up the 3.
All right, next up, we got the Dallas Cowboys at the Green Bay Packers. To me, it looks like Aaron Rodgers wants the hell out of Dodge. It's very sad to see a guy. It's really sad to see a guy who's supposed to be an elite quarterback that will never take blame for anything. And it gets really old. I think this team's entire problem is Aaron Rodgers. The only issue is they made that dumbass pick and got his backup a couple years ago. I can't even remember his name right now.
Jordan Love.
There you go. But he sucks. I'm going to take the Cowboys here. I think the Cowboys will win this game relatively easy, Steve.
Where's the game being played at? At Green Bay?
Yeah.
And what's the spread?
Dallas by 5. What, Dan?
Oh, no. I was going to answer Steve.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm getting tired of Aaron Rodgers, too. I think unlike your beliefs with Brady, I think that Rodgers is on a steep slope down.
Well, I think that's more because of what's between his brains than his body, if you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
whatever the reason
Did
is.
I say what's between his brains? I meant ears. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. But I think he stayed 1 year too long. He should have taken his 2 MVPs and walked away.
See, I think this. I just think that he's pretty much been an asshole his whole career, which is why he's only won one.
Yeah,
Super
but
Bowl.
he was producing.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, but he was producing. But
Right.
you know, you got to win Super Bowls if you're.
I agree.
If you want to be considered one of the greatest. You know, Dan
I am
Marino.
no longer an Aaron Rodgers fan. I don't think that
Dan shouldn't be either, because I explained this to you guys years ago. But
I don't think
Dan,
that he's in the elite core.
Go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. I apologize.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I cut you off first. That was my fault. I so apologize, Steve.
No, go ahead. I relinquished my minutes to you.
I didn't know we had minutes. All right. Dirty Dan. Dallas at Green Bay. Dallas is favored by 5. From now on, Dan's going to be Dirty Dan.
I'll take it. So I'm going to go with Dallas in this one. Green Bay is cooked. They are absolutely cooked. They might be overcooked at this point. I love me some Aaron Rodgers.
You know, Minnesota may already have clinched the division, and they don't even know it yet.
They very well may have, dude. And everyone, in my mind, they already have. Because let me tell you, Green Bay against Detroit, against the worst defense in the NFL, one of the worst defenses of all time, the Packers couldn't move the ball. They couldn't do anything. Aaron Rodgers threw 3 interceptions. He threw 2 interceptions in the red zone for the first time in like a decade, something ridiculous like that.
Hey, and if Bailey Zappi plays the whole game against Green Bay probably loses that game. Because Mac Jones was horrible the first quarter, and they were down, I think, 10-0 when Zappi finally came in.
No, they actually might. And the aside from Aaron Rodgers throwing 3 picks, the offense not looking good, them struggling against a terrible Detroit defense. They lost Rashawn Gary, their best edge rusher, to a season-ending injury. I think it was an ACL. Yeah, an ACL injury. He's out for the season. Huge loss for their defense. Just the L's just keep piling up. I'm going to go Dallas.
All right.
You know what I would almost do if I was Green Bay right now?
What?
I would trade Aaron Rodgers to the Colts and try and go for a first-round draft pick for a new quarterback.
But with the Colts, wouldn't you be better off hitting the first pick and getting Bryce Young?
I would say, as a Colts fan,
if he's a cancer. I mean,
he's
a cancer.
Saying the Colts are too stupid. They would give up their first-round picks up until.
Do they have any left? I thought they'd give them.
Well, you got to wait about 20 years, I think. But they would.
No, that's the Lakers. You're thinking of the Lakers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They just
trust me. I
spend $50 million a year on Aaron Rodgers, get him in here, and if I was a Colts, that's exactly what I'd go for. And if I was Green Bay, I'd see that they were dumbass enough to do that.
All right. Nick.
Yeah, Steve took Dallas, yeah?
Yeah. This is, and I took Dallas. The Indians with their new coach, Jeff Saturday, at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are favored by 6 points. Steve, what do you think?
I'm going to break tradition here.
No, you're not. Don't do it, Steve.
I know.
Don't do it, Steve.
This is the most painful thing I've ever done in my life.
That's alarming. Don't do it.
I'm gonna take the Raiders and give up the 6 points.
No.
I've never ever picked against my Colts, but that team is so screwed up right now, from ownership to kicker. They don't know what the hell they're doing. To take a guy who's never coached in the NFL, it was coaching.
He's never coached football anywhere at a high school. In high school, he was 20 and 16.
I hate to say this, and I say this with all sincerity. I'd have been happier if they took Mike Goodpaster instead of Jeff Saturday to coach the football team.
I got a better resume.
I tell you do. You do. But what the hell was this team thinking? This
is my opinion, Steve. Real quick,
is Jonathan Taylor playing or not?
It doesn't matter.
Dan.
Oh, you mean JT?
JT.
All right. So he is questionable for week 10 with what they're listing as an ankle injury. He returned to practice today. So if he returned to practice on Wednesday, there's a good chance he's playing.
All right, so I will say this, Steve. I believe the reason the Colts did this because the fans have completely turned on the front office. I think Chris Ballard will be next to go. But I think Jeff Saturday was brought in to appease fans. I also think it's really sad that he get the Rooney rule and he just automatically goes to some white dude who has no business being a head coach. Now, with that being said, I also think that Josh McDaniels coaches the Raiders. So, if it wasn't for the
which
fact
is a joke because Josh McDaniels is the one that blew off the Colts after he took the job, and that's how Frank Reich got the job. And now, oh my God, this is
so
better than
I will
Young
say
and,
this.
This is better than Young and the Restless.
I will say this. I think the Raiders will win the game, but Josh McDaniels doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence. The only thing that gives me confidence is the Colts have an absolutely incompetent quarterback. So
I know.
And they average 9 points a game on the road.
Dan, what is the status of Matt Ryan? Is he IR or what?
He's irrelevant. He might as well not even exist anymore. He's questionable with a shoulder injury, but unless Erlinger gets hurt, we're not gonna see Matt Ryan.
And where is Nick Foles in this whole mess? Just sitting on the bench collecting $1 million a year.
Pretty much.
He snuck out like weeks ago.
Don Strock. He's on the Don Strock contract.
Yeah, he disappeared like 2 months ago. He told guys he was going to have to get
he's playing golf every day.
Six-pack of beer. Yeah, and he never came back. All right,
matches and never came
back. I think the Colts are an absolute disaster. This is my team, and I bought a jersey that had my own number on it, my own name on the back. I haven't put that damn thing on in 5 weeks. I don't even take it out anymore.
Hey, I got Steve Risley's number on my jersey.
I was wearing my Chase Elliott jersey, my Chase Elliott sweatshirt, because the NASCAR race was on at the same time.
So you wear an actual other man's shirt? Okay.
No, it's just a Chase Elliott team jersey.
That is so. I'm not going to say it because it would be considered homophobic, but it's not because it's just what we used to say back in the 70s and 80s.
Well, you're wearing a Roger Staubach jersey, so I'd be real careful.
Yeah, you got a man on your jersey.
Hypocrite. Yes, I do. Hey, I had to. Because I promised Brian Klepke, who's my buddy, he's the board president for the football team I coach. He bought it for me and asked me to wear it on the Wednesday night show. So there it is. So don't make fun of it. I'll smack you.
I'm not making fun of that. I wish the guy that bought me the jersey.
Nobody.
I'd love to have a Roger.
He doesn't like jersey. You. He's watched the show before. He finds you annoying. His exact words to me was, "I would buy the Risley guy jersey, but number one, I don't think they make him in fat man sizes." And then he said, "Also, now I will continue. I didn't mean to hurt you, Steve.
I'm hurts. I'm
Colts
sorry.
Raiders, Dan.
I'm injured. I've been off my legs for the better part of 2 years.
I gotta have
due
surgery.
To an injury, and I can't get this wound healed. And I'm sorry. I'm
now he's just trying to make me feel worse again.
And I'm.
It was a joke, Steve.
Wound healed up. I will get back in shape. My dogs.
You need to bring your ass back to Indiana and we'll go play cornhole or something for Bobby because he always got into
cornhole. Doesn't get it, and leave Bobby alone.
Why?
I'm glad you're wearing a Roger Staubach. That is a great honor. He's a Navy man.
I love Roger Staubach. He's from Cincinnati,
a military
too.
man. He went and did his time in the military. He is one of the greatest NFL football players of all time.
I think he's a top 15 quarterback of all time.
And to wear a Mitchell and Ness $350 jersey.
Hey, Mr. Dan.
Roger Staubach is freaking an honor.
Steve, listen to this real quick. Dan, have you ever heard of Roger Staubach?
Yes, I know who Roger Staubach is.
Yeah, he knows who Roger Staubach is.
Did you ever watch Blazing Saddles?
I watched like the first
half.
All
right, never mind. Just get off of it. Colts at Raiders. Raiders -6, Dan. What do you think?
I'm taking the Raiders. First time ever in my life.
We all already did. So come on.
I'm betting against the Colts. I hate that. Man. I'm crying right now.
I'm going. Damn. -6.
Yeah, I would pick the Colts if they had Matt Ryan in this game, actually.
I would too.
I'm gonna take Vegas. I'm gonna take Vegas super reluctantly. I don't trust them at all. But the Colts just are coming off of a game where they had their fewest yards on offense since 1997.
121 yards total offense.
9 sacks allowed.
121 yards.
That's
121 total offense yards, their fewest since 97. They had 9 sacks allowed. Erlinger just got battered. They couldn't do a damn thing. The Raiders ain't good. They might be the worst second half team in football. They gave up another double-digit second half lead this past week, but I can't pick Indy. I'm going to take Vegas.
Nobody can pick.
All right, here may be a worse game even to pick. The Arizona Cardinals at the LA Rams. The Rams are -3, and this is just an ugly game. I don't know who to pick. I'm about to flip a coin on this one. Dan, what do you think? I mean, the loser here is pretty much definitely out of a playoff run.
This game sucks. I'm going to take Arizona just because of how bad the Rams have been looking, to be completely honest.
Has Arizona looked any better?
A little bit. I mean, at least Connor can run the ball. D-Hop is back. You know, they're not completely useless. Whereas the Rams, oh my God, dude. Looking at the Rams, I don't know what's going on. Raheem Morris doesn't know what he's doing out there on defense. I don't know what's going on with their offense. Scotty Miller's dropping passes. Mike Evans is dropping passes. I'm sorry. Wow. I was talking about the Bucks. Wow.
Okay, Mr. Risley.
Yeah, I had my own Steve. I had my own stroke on air, I guess. But regardless, the Rams didn't play well against the Bucks.
I'm going to go get a couple of ding dongs and put on 10 more pounds, Mike. Can I?
You've already got me and Dan. You don't have to go get 2 more ding dongs.
Can I go?
Wait, ding
can I go
dongs?
get my ding dongs and eat them for dinner?
What about ho-hos? I like ho-hos.
Wait, ding dongs. Those are those.
I had ho-hos for lunch.
Hold on, ding dongs.
I'm doing all I can to put on weight.
Those hockey puck chocolate
I'm
snacks,
sorry,
right?
Steve. I said
I'm
I was
working
sorry.
my
I didn't
ass
mean to hurt
off to
your
gain
feelings.
You know,
Steve, I'm sorry, Steve.
When I went to my doctor on Tuesday and he said, "Stay off your foot, don't move."
Oh,
and, you
man.
know, so
I was just making a joke, and now he's making me feel bad.
Yeah,
I know.
Well, I don't feel good about it either, Mike.
Let's go, Cardinals.
Steve, what would you like to pick? I think you've looked like you've lost a few pounds in the last week, Steve.
Kiss my ass, you dumbass.
You know what? I couldn't miss it. Go ahead.
Yes.
Why
I love you guys. I love you guys so much. I'm having so much fun.
Cardinals, Rams, Steve. Rams -3.
The Rams haven't played well. Arizona's have played much better, but the Rams have generally had good luck against Arizona. They're playing at SoFi, which means the Rams will have more fans there than Los Angeles will.
The Cardinals.
The Cardinals will have more fans there than Los Angeles. But I'm going to go with LA and give up the 3 points. I think LA wins this game.
I'm going to take the Cardinals into points just because I think this game is a toss-up, so I'll take the 3 points. That's basically it. And I think D. Hopkins can do enough here to basically win the game on his own because I think he'll move the chains and score touchdowns. All right, next up, the Los Angeles Chargers at the San Francisco 49ers. Steve, this is a good matchup. This is a big game for the Chargers, too.
Big
and
game
both
for
teams,
both
really.
teams.
Yeah.
Big game for both teams. I'm going to tell you, McCaffrey to the Chargers, the 49ers, was a good move. I think as long as he stays healthy, that guy gets injured more than he stays healthy. There's no doubt about that. But he made it through last week. Let's see if he can make it through another week. Right now, I'm still a Garoppolo fan. I don't know. I know you guys aren't.
I think he's an average quarterback. I don't rep him. He wins games.
Yeah.
But
I like him. I think McCaffrey is a big addition for him to have. What's the injury status report for San Francisco?
Debo Samuel and Elijah Mitchell, who are key players, could return from injuries, but they're not sure yet this week.
Okay, what about their edge rusher? What's his name? The brother.
Bosa?
Bosa.
Bosa's still out.
Bosa's still out. All right. I'm gonna God, Herbert's playing. Chargers have really been a disappointment this year, though. I'm gonna take the 49ers and give up 7 points.
All right, Dan.
I'm going to take San Francisco as well. I was leaning Chargers, but I don't know why. But the Chargers don't like playing good football against good teams. And Herbert, as much as I love Herbert, hurt or not, I don't care if he's got rib issues or whatever. He's just missing something, man. He's missing.
Yeah,
I like Herbert too. I'm with you. I like both these quarterbacks. I like both of them.
This is the thing. He's always going to be missing the thing he needs. He's a front runner. He's a front runner. I told you guys this for the last 3 years, or 2 years, as he missed the playoffs, or 3 years, whatever it's been. So,
and the big issue with them as well is the fact that their top 2 receivers are probably going to be out again. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I know Allen's been close, but Allen's been close for weeks now. But Mike Williams being out too, real threatening. They barely beat Atlanta. Real threatening.
Yeah, and this is a team that got blown out by Seattle. Barely beat Atlanta, but most teams have just barely beaten Atlanta for some reason. They struggled to beat the Broncos by 3, beat Houston and Houston by 10, beat Cleveland by 2. No Bosa, though. 7 points. I'm going to take the Chargers in the points. Because I think that Herbert's a front runner. I think he's actually going to have a big game here. In this situation, he will. And then he'll crap all over himself when it gets to be a bigger game. So I'm going to take the Chargers in. I just think that's a lot of points between the two teams. Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles continue to play MAC teams and still play the Washington Commanders. And it's not their fault. They don't have an AD to schedule these games. It's just they got lucky this year. They're favored by 10.5 to beat the Washington Commanders. Steve, what do you think?
Love the Eagles, but I don't like the 10.5. I don't like that at all. What's the Eagles' record right now? They still undefeated?
They're still undefeated. Best team in football.
They're not going to lose this game.
They're not the best team in football, Dan, and you know they're not.
They're not. They're not the best team in football, but I'm going to take the Eagles and give up the 10.5.
They're in the conversation, Dan.
How
about that? I don't think we've seen enough to say they're the best team in football.
Dan, you know what the Eagles are? The Eagles are fat and happy like me, according to Mike. So
I never said you were happy.
Fat's the key operative word.
I never said you were happy at all, Steve.
Dad never said you were happy.
You do a NASCAR show. That's got to make you depressed sometimes.
NASCAR never depresses me.
All right. So who just picked the game? I don't even remember now.
Steve took Philly.
I took Philly and gave up the 10.5. I think it's a dumb move, but somehow I think the Eagles are going to win this thing. Commanders suck.
I'm going to take the Commanders. I mean, if Taylor Heineke doesn't throw an ugly late interception against the Vikings, the Commanders might have won that game. So as long as he doesn't do something stupid in this game, maybe they don't lose by 2 touchdowns. I still think Philly wins, but 7 for San Francisco against the Chargers, borderline. But I went with San Fran. And this one, I don't like the 10.5.
I don't like the 10.5 either. I don't.
So you're gonna take Washington?
No, I'm gonna take Philly. I just don't like the 10.5.
All right.
The way I am. I just don't like the 10.5. I mean, the Commanders could keep it close. But Philadelphia's just better.
You hear my dog barking in the background?
Yes, I do.
Is that what that is?
No, that's the Domino's pizza guy bringing me 3 pepperoni pizzas to eat so I can gain some more weight. So that's going to be my
Steve
snack
leaning
before
into
dinner.
it.
That's going to be my snack before dinner.
I love it.
So,
Now I want
you know.
pizza.
Dinner's gonna be the dogs.
No, dinner's going to be chicken wings from BW3. So,
I had those this weekend
yeah.
in beautiful Fort Worth, Texas.
And
Or
then
Arlington, Texas.
Then we have a Taco Bell right down the street. I'm going to
Might as well get that for dessert.
I want Taco Bell.
You gotta have Dan over to have Taco Bell.
Yeah, I love Taco Bell. Yeah, best food in the world.
Take care of it.
KFC.
Remember this.
On
real
the other
quick.
corner, we have a KFC.
Real quick. Betting.net finds the best promotions, offers, and bonus codes so you don't have to. Head over to their website now and take advantage of things like free bets and matching deposits. All right, guys. We're going to wrap the show up. Steve, any final words?
No, I got to head to KFC.
I thought Domino's was just delivered.
Well, that's before I go to KFC to get my bucket of chicken. Extra crispy.
Okay. I don't like extra crispy. I like original recipe from what I remember better.
Yeah.
I don't like to get fancy. Dan?
Well, you're not fat. So you
now I want pizza. Now it's 9 o'clock at night, and now I want pizza.
Dan's fat too, so don't worry about it.
Yes, I am, and I like pizza too.
Dan's a lard ass, is what they used to call him.
I want Taco Bell. I want pizza. You guys are killing me. I don't have any of this fun stuff around my house.
Yeah, Steve has a reason. He's in his 60s. What's your reason, Dan?
I'm in my 30s. That's a great reason.
How is all of our predictions, or who are we thinking right now? Just right now, just do a quick poll. Super Bowl right now, if you had to pick two teams right now.
Dan, you're first up.
Yeah.
Kansas City and Philadelphia.
Steve.
I'm going to stick with Buffalo. And I'm going to go with Minnesota.
All right, guys. We're going to go
Mike?
wrap. What? Oh, I got to pick two?
Oh, yes, please. Bless us with your knowledge, O wise one.
Why don't you shut up? Huh? I'd punch you, but if I did, you'd probably have gravy pour out your nose if I broke your
I'd hit you if it wasn't against the law to hit elderly people.
See, Dan, he tells you to shut up. He tells me to put another piece of pizza in my mouth.
I just made a joke about Dan punching him in the nose and gravy pouring out of his nose, so I don't want to hear it. Jeez. I can't help it. If you don't want me to make fun of you, don't be fat, all right? That's the easiest way to not be made fun of for being fat is don't be fat.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
What's your Super Bowl pick? Jamoke?
Oh, my Super Bowl pick.
Cincinnati.
Just right now, the two teams you think going right now.
Who's Cincinnati playing?
How do you know I'm picking the Bengals? Because you know they're the best team.
Oh, geez, this wasn't a 10-minute question.
The Cincinnati Bengals versus. I don't like anybody in the NFC.
That's what I'm saying, yo. It's ugly. I didn't even want to pick the Eagles.
Man, I could even just. I could right now with a straight face say the New York Giants and not even laugh.
No. Yeah, you're right.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say the Cincinnati Bengals. And since I got this jersey on, and my friend's a Cowboys fan, the Bengals and the Cowboys. How about that?
That's a good pick.
How about those Cowboys, Dan?
Awful. I'll watch it because it's a Super Bowl, but I'd be so disgusted. And I would be
wearing Lions fan.
Burrow.
Every Super Bowl you watch, you should be disgusted because you're in your 30s and your team's never even sniffed a Super Bowl.
And they never will.
Never will. And it's a damn shame. It's just like what the 1957 NFL championship game was Cleveland and Detroit. It's the only time that'll ever happen.
Was it 1957?
It was right around there.
I think it was like 50 or 51 or something like that.
I thought they might have played a couple times even, but I'm not sure.
Who cares? It was in the 50s and Lions suck.
The 50s are more important than today. Jeez. I mean, today we can't even pick two favorites for the Super Bowl because you can say the Eagles because they're undefeated, but the only really tough test they've had was Minnesota. We have somebody chime in. Hopefully it's not the one people before.
Joe.
I don't know. It's Joe. He's a dumbass. So we're just going to go ahead and wrap the show up.
Yeah.
He said Ritter promised the Falcons the Super Bowl. I don't think he promised it when Marcus Mariota was the quarterback, Joe. Not even Marcus Mariota would promise that.
Oh, and Mike, you were right. 1957, they beat the Browns 59-14
I could have gave you the score too if you don't want it.
in Detroit.
Yep. And where was the game played at in Detroit? Don't be looking it up, even though you've already looked.
Oh, I'm looking at it right now. Briggs Stadium.
Briggs Stadium. There you go. Go Google that and watch the game tonight. Report back to us next week.
Hold on, Briggs Stadium. That's a Tigers stadium.
Is it? I thought you were a Lions fan.
But they're right. The Tigers stadium is right across the street from the Lions stadium.
Briggs Stadium was also it changed to Tiger Stadium. I think in
Hey, Joe, nice response, Joe. I give him another one of those.
I ain't looking at nothing right now.
That.
I was just looking at you boys. Hold on. What did he say? Oh, look, Joe gave me the thumbs up. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for listening. You're one of my favorite listeners.
Excuse me.
Joe's going to have to be on again.
Yo, what happened to Stefan? I haven't seen Stefan in a minute.
Who's Stefan?
Who's Stefan? Stefan, one of our viewers who comes on every week. He used to talk about his radio show and do shout-outs.
Stefan. What the hell was his name?
Stefan. There's two of them.
From Jamaica, you dumbass.
Okay. I know, but his name wasn't Stefan, I don't think, you dumbass.
Yeah, it was.
All right. Jeez, I don't know why people still
Great guy. Stefan,
Yeah,
if you're listening, I'm sorry for Mike.
I don't think his name is Stefan now.
It was.
I'm pretty sure it was. I feel like
it was Stefan.
It was?
Yeah.
What about Horace Countryman?
That was his buddy. They all do a radio show out of Jamaica.
You sure his name was Stefan? No, I don't think it was.
Yes,
Stefan.
it was Stefan.
It sounds.
No, it wasn't Stefan. It was Stefan.
Stefan.
Yeah, there you go. Sefton, you dumbasses. See, you're trying to remember. You call me names, and I remembered it before you did.
Well, I miss him. He hasn't commented in a few shows.
All right, ladies.
Well, this has been a historic show because it's the first time in my time on the radio ever doing anything with Mike where I've been called fat.
It's not really, Steve. I've done it like a million times.
And that really stings because I am.
But I have done it like a million times.
And I have had to stay off my foot for the better part of a year and a half now. Due to a
so when I was
wound that
calling you
can't
fat
heal.
6 years ago, there was really no reason for it.
Well, I've had osteomyelitis, which means they wanted to cut half my foot off, and I fought that off. But it is the first time ever that I've picked against the Colts. And
so if the Colts
very historic day for me.
If the Colts lose and you win, does that mean you have to pick against the Colts for the rest of your life?
No, it doesn't mean anything. It means that I'm just going to get into soccer.
Gross.
Nobody can get into soccer. Oh, yeah. By the way, real quick, for the people out there who know how to spell, Joseph Michael spelled Ryder instead of Ritter. Ritter is with 2 D's. So our dumbass listener today is Joseph Michael.
You suck, Joseph. I say that with love.
And
Mike,
Joseph says,
Joe, you don't suck, and Jeff Saturday sucks. You don't suck, Joe.
No, I think he said Jeff Saturday's a baby.
Yeah, I think he's being a little facetious, Mike.
Nice.
So was I.
Yeah.
Facetious. All right.
Joe
Joe gave me the thumbs up again.
Yeah.
I love it when Joe gives me the thumbs up.
Get off the air. Let's get off the air.
All right, guys. We're going to wrap it up.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Mike. His name in vain.
I apologize before you said anything.
Well, why don't you just not say it? You don't have to apologize.
We're getting to be Hanukkah. I turned Jewish during Hanukkah so I can get gifts 9 days in a row.
It's 12 days, Steve. It's 12 days.
No, it's not. It's 9 days.
Man.
It's not 12 days. It's the 12 days of Christmas, you dumbass. It's the 9 days of Hanukkah because the menorah, they lit the oil for 9 days. The oil was supposed to last 1 day, burned for 9 days. Know your damn religion.
All right, so this is the thing.
It's the 12 days of Christmas.
Wait, let me get this out.
My
You're
true
right.
gave to me.
Hey, I want to tell you this. You're completely right. The only problem for you is you're also completely wrong because I think there's 8 days during
Eight,
Halloween.
8 nights and days.
Thank you. So I win again in the end. So that's all that matters.
There's nine candles on the menorah.
Yes, but,
Yeah, but there's 8. It's celebrated for 8.
The one
Yeah.
day, the top one represents the day the candle was supposed to be lit. The other 8 days represents the time the oil
He's reading
stayed
that off Google. You can
kept
tell
the
by looking
candle
at it.
lit for the 8 days. And I am not Jewish, so Jewish people are going to call me and rip me a new butthole for this. But you know, I'm telling you that's what I know because I dated an Orthodox Jewish girl in college, and I had to learn all this. I had to read a book called The History of the Jews, and I had to learn all of this basic stuff. You know.
Okay, let's stop Steve now because if this keeps going, you're going to end up doing a show of Kyrie by next week.
No, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you all about. I'm going to tell you all about the 10 Commandments.
One of the stipulations for Kyrie to come back is to read a book with Steve.
We could talk about 10 Commandments on a show where you don't use the Lord's name.
I worked for Dan Quayle for 4 years, and I had enough security clearance. I know where the Ark of the Covenant is.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but Steve, don't ever brag about working for any politician, especially Dan Quayle.
I love Dan Quayle.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn?
That's why he was the vice president for George Bush, who was one of the most despicable people ever walked the face of the earth.
No, George Walker Bush.
Yeah, one of the most despicable. The entire family is disgusting. Go look up Marvin Bush and the Nazi Party. I mean, the Bush family helped fund the Nazis in the 1930s. All right, and if you want, I can pull that up real quick, or we can go off air.
Let's go off air.
All right, guys. The Fat Boys will be back next week at some point. Make sure you check us out. Make sure you follow us at Grilling Truth. Make sure you check out betting.net. Cheer for Steve's Colts because they need all the prayers and help they can get right now to get Steve through these.
Don't cheer for him. I bet against them. Great.
Let's go Colts.
I don't want the Colts to win now.
All right, guys. We're going to wrap it up. Dan is only now 7 games ahead. Come back next week to see how much closer it's gotten. But for now, for Dan Kornhauser, Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where